Welcome back to another episode of the Pursuit of Progress podcast. Really excited, guys. Today I've got a friend that I can see us getting to become a lot better friends in the future, a lot of stuff in common. He's a fellow friend from up in the mountains. His name's Jon, and we're connected through a group of realtors here in Colorado and throughout the entire country, actually called Legit Agents. That's how we originally came into touch with each other, but he's got some really cool creative ways that he's using social media, and I love his just overall take on life, just how he balances his personal life with his family and also with work. So really excited to have Jon on the show today. What's up, Jon?
Appreciate you. What's up, man? Stoked to be here.
What's going on? Yeah. So tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. So without just giving my full story from A to Z, growing up, I was super passionate about military and just doing something that was badass in this world. So I always wanted to be a SEAL. I went into SEAL training. It was crazy, awesome. Didn't end up making it, long story short. And so just kind of without going step by step, really had that passion. And I was like, I still got to do something epic. So I've been into a lot of different sports, from swimming to jiu-jitsu to powerlifting, different kind of stuff, many different sports, and finally got into real estate, realized, hey, this is where I could the ceilings, there's no ceiling. You can do whatever you want. You could do it for many different ways. Got a family, got 2 little kids, just love life. I live in an awesome mountain town here in Durango, and I just kind of really enjoying what I'm doing and just kind of try to craft my business to where I can be outdoors, enjoy life, and don't have to be behind a desk all day. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And just pretty stoked with life.
Definitely gonna have to come back to the Navy SEAL stuff. I had no idea about that. I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit more, though, before we go down that path, just about Durango. Are you from Colorado? Are you a Durango guy for a long period of time, or did you move there recently?
Good question. So we moved here fairly recently, about 4 years ago. Grew up south of Albuquerque, and then went into the military from there when I was 18 or so.
Cool.
Lived in California for a while. Yeah.
What made you specifically interested in Durango?
Yeah. So I think, excuse me. So I think a lot of it was really wanted to be somewhere where I could fish. Grew up fly fishing since I was 2. Just love the outdoors in general. Love fishing. And I think that was the main thing. And not wanting to be just in the same environment where it takes you 4 or 5 hours to get to some fishing is kind of one of the big reasons.
Okay. I fly fished quite a bit in the Roaring Fork Valley. I'm trying to think of what are the most famous fishing waters over in your neck of the woods. Is it Pagosa or no?
Yeah, that area has some great fishing for sure. The San Juan River is really what puts us on the map. That area is world renowned fly fishing. There's guys coming from all over the world to fish there. And then we've got the Animas River running right through town. So you've got great fishing right in town. You've got a lot of great alpine lakes, higher elevation, 10,000 feet. And then a lot of tributaries and streams running into those lakes as well. That's some killer fishing too. A lot of backcountry stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would love to get into the backpacking fly fishing type trips where you're going for a couple nights, just carrying everything with you. And that would be definitely a bucket list item. I've never done that before.
Heck yeah. It's awesome. I've done it just a couple times. We've done some horseback stuff too, and that was phenomenal. Different way to do it.
Well, I love your comment about kind of like a life by strategy where you saw real estate as an opportunity to have a career path without any ceilings, and also being able to kind of make it your own as far as fitting within your family's dynamic and what you're passionate about, which I think is really, really cool. When you kind of first took the leap and got into that, did you feel like with a town like Durango that is it's a small mountain town, I'm sure people are very tight knit there. There's probably a few agents that do the majority of the business. Was that a challenge getting into a market that's a little bit more of a small town type dynamic?
So I'll answer that a few different ways. Like, I think it's one of those things where maybe you're too dumb, too ignorant, whatever the right thing is to say, that you just don't know. It's like you don't know that you can't do it. And it's like definitely a very good thing in a way. So I came from Albuquerque and I was doing really, really well. I mean, for for where I came from. Like I was doing well. Think I was in my, was it third year of real estate, moving from Albuquerque, and we got our business to the point where I connected with a business partner about a year before I moved here, maybe a little more than a year before I moved here, and I'll give you the tidbits, and we can always dive into this, but we transitioned our business to where it was 100% cold calling. Didn't have to knock on a door, didn't have to go to a listing presentation. We did 74 closed listings in 2021, all through cold calling, never walking in a door or meeting a seller. And so we would send them the paperwork, they'd sign, we'd get it sold. And so I was fired up. I knew that I had a way where I didn't need to be in Albuquerque anymore. And so we really weren't selling much in Durango. And I still was like, I don't care. I could sell in Durango if I needed to. Like, but we've got this system where we're licensed in a bunch of different states. And so going from that, it's just like, I felt like, no, we were good to go. Stuff transitioned, market shifted, and without diving too much into it, I transitioned into doing a lot more with YouTube as well as still doing cold calling, a combination of both. So I felt like I could do it. Yeah.
So whether it be our audience that happens to also be in real estate or really any sort of a sales job, I'd like just to
Mm-hmm.
get your kind of expert opinion on, and I'm kind of being a little bit kind of using this question really to just answer it for my own personal
Mm-hmm.
reasons, because cold calling is one of those things that I have really struggled with. I had a job after college that was door to door sales that scarred me for life when it comes to the certain aspects of the sales process. So I would love just to
Yeah.
get your kind of just insight on if that came naturally to you, and also just like maybe some tips on how you handle rejection and just your mindset going into those periods of the day when maybe you're kind of allocating an hour during your day to do cold call, and like how you kind of work through that whole strategy.
Sure. I'd love to address that. I mean, I just love talking about this in general because it's one of those things where I feel like I got to the point. Well, I'll start with your first question. Like, how hard was it? Like, getting into it? Was it natural? Like, 100%, it was not natural at all. So I just knew I needed to figure something out to make real estate work. And I'm like, hey, this guy's teaching this thing on Facebook. He's doing an hour call every single, it was like, I think it was every single morning, and he was just teaching us for free. And I was like, I'm just going to learn and show up and figure this thing out. I was the absolute worst. Like, he would put me on the spot and let's try to figure out, like let's do role play with you. And I'm like, hi, I'm Jon. And what are you doing? I mean, it was horrific. And my tone of voice and my confidence. So the number one thing, if I was to give like a quick tip out of what I learned, is when I got my confidence up, it was a game changer. It went from 10 objections to 0 to 1. And that was the big game changer. And the other thing was tonality. But like, tone comes with confidence. When you're super confident, you can have that deeper tone and that confident tone. Uh, but I would just show up and show up and show up. And then he did what he called a boiler room boot camp. I drove from New Mexico out to California, showed up, and I just said, I'm here. I'm gonna do it. And it was so cool. It was one of these things where he heard me on the phone. He heard me trying to get my pitch, and he said, "Stop, get off the phone. You're going to go down to the bathroom and you're going to yell your lines because your confidence is so horrific, and you got to get your voice up." And he said, "You're going to yell them. I better hear you from here, upstairs." And I did it for like 30 minutes. I went back up there, and he's like, I was yelling it, and he goes, "No, that's normal. That's the normal voice." And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, like, I'll do it. So I think I'm yelling in this room, and I'm not. And and I just stuck with it. I think I set 20 appointments, went home, got several listings, and just kept rolling from there. So to me, like, the lesson from it is, again, if you can stick with anything, like, you can do cold calling. As crazy as cold calling seems, like, anybody can kill it with cold calling, 100%.
So So speaking from a consumer standpoint, my phone nowadays, I don't know how if I leaked my phone number out to certain places, maybe since it's connected to my Google My Business, I don't know where, but I mean, I
So
get
easy to do.
so many calls now that are potential spam. I'm sure you're getting, when you're calling people, it's probably showing up that same way, right?
Sometimes. So there is ways to tweak your numbers, and we've got 10 different numbers, and so we'll go back and forth and use different numbers. We'll test our numbers, call each other, and see if it shows up as spam, and then delete it and do a new number. The companies, so we'll use Follow Up Boss. They do a good job at making sure that that
Mhm.
doesn't happen. So that's really what's amazing is if you're working with a company, they can really help you with that. Is the quick answer. The other thing I will say is even if it comes through as spam, it's all about those first 3 seconds, first 3 to 5 seconds, and how you can hook them. So a lot of the times, let's say we're calling Fizbos, I'm saying, hey, this is John. It's the shortest intro I can possibly create without not saying my name and who I am. Hey, this is John over at HomeSmart. Just wondering if your home is still for sale, right? It's something as short as humanly possible. Yes. They say yes. We get into it. And we go from there, and everything is crafted. Like, this isn't just Mr. Confident and I'm just going to plow through and figure this out. It's every line is crafted to where we're building rapport. It's all about rapport. And we're still answering questions that we need to know, and we're getting motivation. It's rapport, motivation. If we know there's no motivation, I'm just off the phone. Like, there's a lot of people that are not buyers. It's the whole, you've probably seen like Wolf of Wall Street. It's like the whole
Mhm.
sell me this pen. It's like, no, if you don't need a pen, I'm not going to sell you the pen. So that's kind of the long answer of, it's a spam number. I'm like, hey, I'm still going to get through the call, or give it a shot.
And then one last question before we move on to this from this topic. So,
Yeah.
since this is definitely a law of numbers, or you have to have volume in order to, I don't know what the recent stats are. It's like, if you get 1 out of 100 to actually schedule an appointment, that's considered a win. Some crazy.
It's close to that. That's about right.
So, and let's just say you have an hour a day, or is an hour long enough? Like, how much time do you allocate when you're doing this?
All depends on skill. Like now, I'll do closer to an hour, and I'll have pretty good day. But no, I was doing 6 hours a day, roughly.
Wow, wow. Well, that's how you
So
get your reps in.
so you get your reps in. Yeah, I was usually 200 to 300 dials, like 200 kind of minimum
Okay.
per day. So again, it's all about reps. Like if you're new at this, like an hour a day, you're never gonna get anywhere unless you're just badass confident already, which is another deal. Like if you are badass confident and you just need to apply that to cold calling, you might do okay with 1 to 2 hours a day. But I'd say you still need to front load that and really get the reps in, and then you can drop down, even if it's a month.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a company reach out to me and kind of pitch me on their product maybe 2 months ago. That was
Hmm.
an AI version of cold calling, basically,
Hmm.
where they learn over a period of time just exactly what you're trying to get across in your messaging and your script and all that stuff, and eventually it gets to the point where it's just this AI bot that's
Yeah,
making the calls and setting these appointments for you. And I was impressed. It still wasn't quite there. There still seemed like there was just this little bit of
I
like
agree.
too long of a pause between like when I would answer the question versus when they would respond. It just didn't feel totally natural. But you got to
Hmm.
think that's going to be at some point perfected, and who
Eventually, it'll be.
knows?
Eventually, I think it'll crush. But yeah, exactly. My opinion is right now, too long of a pause, you're toast. They hang up.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about real estate, and then I want to just kind
Yeah,
of circle back to some of this Navy SEAL stuff, just because I think that's super
heck yeah.
cool and really interesting.
So,
Um, so with Durango, obviously the median price of a home up there is a lot more than Denver or other more metropolitan cities. What is it up in
so
your
we're
part of the country?
We're actually closer to 750 in town Durango. As
Okay.
you get into the mountain area, we're 2.15, the resort area. Yeah. So it varies.
You mentioned when we were just chatting, I think it was a week or so ago, about
Hmm.
having the opportunity to tour some, really cool homes. And I know from when I was living up in Aspen doing the same thing, just seeing these, 15, 20, 25, $30 million homes that are just, such a cool experience to, as a realtor, be able to, go in and see these homes room to room and just, kind of see what that top tier of real estate looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Share a little bit about that with us. I know that you said recently you went into like 20 some million
Mhm.
dollar house.
Definitely. Yeah. Happy to share. So, and I'll share this and not just make it a story, but how you can apply it if you're in real estate. because what I was able to do was, I'll just start by like how I was able to even see this thing. Because most agents, you can't just call up the listing agent and go look at this. They're like, no, it costs $6,000 to clean the windows. Like, I'm not letting you see it unless it's clean, and you better have a reason to go see it. So I was able to build a relationship with this agent. We have shown some of his other listings that were 1 to 2 million type of range. And he saw that I have a YouTube channel where I've got close to 1,000 subscribers, and I get a lot of people that are moving here from out of area. And he saw that I have the potential to market this thing for him. So he said, yeah, come check it out and shoot a video on it. And he, I mentioned it to him, but not really asking for it. And he said, no, go for it. I want you to bring me a buyer. We get this thing sold. So that's what was phenomenal, is if you have the marketing ability and can show that, you might have that in to be able to see these properties. And who knows what kind of opportunity that could bring. So I did that with 2 of his listings. One was at 6.25 million, 75 acres. What's so phenomenal about both these is they both back up to national forest. So it's just, that alone is pretty unique and tough to buy, where it's still within 15 minutes of downtown Durango. Again, 75 acres on fairly usable land where you got pasture, where you can run horses on. You've got a guest house where they're making like 25 grand a year off of Airbnb alone. And then the barn below it, the home is custom built by the owner himself. Like, he was the general contractor, brought people in, and just did it all on his own. So it's just insanely detailed. And what's crazy about this home is, like, you'll never be able to find it for that price because the owner built it. Like, if a builder built it, it would have cost so much more. So it's so unique in that it's so close to town. But then this other one that was 20 million. So it's got a campground with RV hookups on the property with the river running right by it. I mean, it, like, hard to understand. On 175 acres, again, that backs up to 1.8 million acres of national forest with crazy cool trails that are right down the road from the home, like 3 minutes down the road from the home. Pool, 12-seat movie theater. The great room is the size of people's homes. Like, the dining room is the size of an apartment. Like, it's just kind of crazy. 3-story elevator. 4 ovens, 2 dishwashers. Like, it's really made for, like, you get a church out here, you get a group out here or something, and use it.
That's awesome.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. One of the statistics up in Aspen that I used to always get a kick out of is, in the actual city of Aspen, the average amount of time that people use their second, third, fourth homes. People that own property in the city of Aspen, the average amount of time they lived in their homes was 2 weeks a year. So you think about these, 15, 20, some of them are, there's $100 million listing that one of my friends has up there right now. But just thinking about, just again, these crazy properties, and just 99% of the time, nobody's even enjoying them. And other than probably the full-time caretaker that also lives there and has a really good setup.
Good living. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just from a real estate side of things, like, how does somebody like yourself, that's, you're obviously improving every year, you're growing, your business is expanding, you're getting more and more clients, this and that. How do you get from, selling these $1 to $2 million homes to getting a $20 million listing? Do you think that happens just over kind of your reputation that you've built over a long period of time? Or do you think there's other ways that, like, somebody like you that maybe doesn't have the 20 years of experience in Durango can still, land those type of listings?
Can do it? Yes, I 100% think so. And so for clarity for everyone out there, I don't personally have these listings. I made the connection with the listing agent, so we're working together on this. But to answer your question, like, 100%. So when he talked to me about how he got these listings, like, it is a game of who you know in that sense, but it's also the ability to relate and also just show that you're a professional. Like, you don't need to have more sales than the next person. You don't need to have more reviews. You don't need to have more all of this, but you still need to be very, very good at what you do. So if you're continually learning, if you're continually working on your marketing, I think something that will continue to help me and has helped me is just the YouTube channel. And something I'm doing is, walking around town, showing areas, showing neighborhoods, and that kind of thing. Having 20 hours worth of content on my channel talking about riverfront properties, talking about what this owner is selling. So like if I have videos marketing that on a very high level, and high level just meaning it's so basic to where you can print off a sheet of all the info about that area, meaning you're 12 minutes to this trail, you're 5 minutes to town, you're like, it's basic, but it's putting in the work. So I think that has helped me a lot. It's like you can come into a new town, do that, and do pretty well. And it could be on social media, but I think that long form content really shows somebody how well you know your stuff and how passionate you are for that area and just the area. That's
Hmm.
the calls that I get a lot is it looks like you know the area, we want to work with you. And so I think that's it.
So with YouTube, for our audience, some people have probably already heard from past episodes me talk a little bit about that because I'm also in an earlier phase of building out a YouTube channel. These YouTube channels are really targeting people that are relocating, moving to an area. And John and his channel and mine on my channel are, providing all this value to viewers to learn everything they can about wherever that city or places that we're living and trying to do business in. With a place like Durango, I am imagining, are there other YouTube channels out there? It's probably not nearly as competitive
Zero.
as Denver, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah.
Are your viewers and your subscribers on your channel still as most other channels in the bigger cities where they are all people that are out of state finding you from searching, moving to Durango, or are you just organically getting a lot of Durango people that are finding your channel?
No, no, that's a good question. So, I mean, there's been a couple Durango people that have called me, but that's pretty much about it. It's been
Okay.
everybody out of area. I actually get a lot of people from Denver. I'm calling, but Denver, Houston, Dallas, Phoenix. Those are kind of the main areas. Utah a little bit. Few areas on the East Coast, but
Okay.
that's most of it. Yeah,
Well, I can tell that your channel is and will continue to be successful just from your background with sports and Navy SEAL training, all that stuff. Just from,
yeah,
I think the
yeah,
biggest attribute you can have if you're doing something like this is just that consistency.
yeah.
And I'm imagining you're really good at that part of it, just the practitioner side of just, every week you're releasing at least one, if not two video. You're very
That's
diligent
the
about
key.
that side of it.
It's 100% the key. Yeah, yeah. And just to elaborate on that, like that is the secret. Like when people say there's no secrets, like yeah, that's not a secret, but people don't understand how important it is. They undervalue consistency. Like it is so critical, and I've learned that through just what I've done. Like through cold calling, I was so focused on cold calling and the consistency in that. Like I've had people I follow up with for a year, and then we sell $1 million house just from a cold call. And so it's like it's the same thing with YouTube. You got to stay consistent, and you can't get sidetracked. Like you do YouTube for 3 months, and then you do something else for three. Like YouTube's gone, and that other thing's gone. Like it's if you jump back to something else, it's just the way it is.
So with a
Yeah,
task like YouTube, obviously you've got multiple things that are going on. You got to you got to prepare and plan out whatever it is the content that you're going to film for that week. You've got to actually go out in the field and film it. You've got potentially some editing or post production work through an editor or however you're doing that side of it. But are
yeah,
you keeping yourself accountable and consistent and on track through just time blocking throughout the week, certain times on Monday, Tuesday, certain times throughout the week that those are like your non-negotiable. This is what I'm working on during these little periods of time. Or how are you staying consistent?
yeah. So I wish it's a little of both. I wish I could say I'm perfect, and I'm not. But I think the key is like it is the non-negotiable. 100%. That's the key for me. Is non-negotiable is the video gets done. It gets to the editor by Wednesday at the very latest. And so my goal is Monday I'm shooting, but I allow myself some leeway because what happens is usually you shoot and either you have a client call you and you gotta help them or whatever happens, but you start shooting Monday and then some of the time it's either the wind picks up, which my goal is to always shoot outside. No buts about it. It's just always outside, even if it's 12 degrees out. I'm doing it because I think it helps. And then yeah, either something happens or there's other B-roll that I want to shoot, other drone footage I want to get. So like yesterday I was shooting more drone footage and then I'm getting to the editor right now. So it's like that stuff happens, but if you get ahead of schedule, you're fine anyway. So I think it's leaving that leeway. But to answer your question, like the main thing is you've got that non-negotiable in your life, and that's how stuff gets done. Is like
Hmm.
it's got to happen. And if I got to just move stuff around, it's getting done. So it's
The
kind of
only,
the key.
The only thing I'll add on my end personally on that topic is
Yeah.
I finally learned the value of having at least one, if not a couple episodes completed and in front of me already in the pipeline to be released, where you're
Mm,
not in this position every single week where if your kid gets sick or you got some emergency with a client, something comes up and you just don't do what you need to
right.
do, then you're totally up
Mm,
against a wall, and just the quality of what you're putting out there suffers because you're rushed, you haven't planned accordingly.
it totally is. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Well, let's just talk a little bit more about real estate, and then I want to talk about the Navy SEALs. So you
Yeah.
said you're married, you got two boys, you said.
Your voice. Yep.
Yeah. So you got a pretty full household outside of your
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Is your wife also working, or is she a stay at home mom? What is she doing?
Yeah. Just stay at home mom. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So, as far as like work life balance, are you also using kind of that same consistency we were talking about with YouTube and just other parts of your business? Are you doing the similar kind of mindset with your personal life, with your family and your wife, just kind of having those times throughout the week kind of set aside where you're not slipping and suffering on that part of everything?
Yeah, so I think it's fairly similar. And again, I'm trying to get better at this. I think a big thing that I'm doing better in, let's call it the last 6 months, has just been putting in the calendar. It's not necessarily always in the calendar that we're going to church on Sunday, but that's happening regardless. It's just that's what we do, period.
Hmm.
And so things like, trying to think of a good example, like something comes up where we're doing a dinner Friday night or something. As long as it's in the calendar, it's happening, it's there, and other stuff's not going around it. I don't feel like I'm at that point where I need to put in family time on the calendar after 5 p.m. It's just if somebody calls me and they need to do something at 6, it's like, sorry, I can do it tomorrow. So it's kind of going back to those non-negotiables. To me, it's pretty much non-negotiable. Like I'm not always home exactly at 5, but 5 to 5:30, it's pretty much non-negotiable that's what's happening. It's family time. Yeah.
Have you felt like the busier that you've become over the last couple years with both your career and personal life, in order to even like have time to go fly fishing, as an example, it just is requiring every other thing you're doing, every other hour of the day, to be so much more productive
Yep.
and just
Yep.
effective with your time that you have,
Hmm.
in order to squeeze more out of everything and get the most out of every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think the way I've looked at it, for one, which this isn't the best way to look at it, is like I'm just getting up earlier, which is not great. Like I'm going to the gym at getting up at 5:25 to be at the gym at 6, and then from the gym, shower, and then just start working at 7:15, 7:30. Like that's helped. Granted, if you're not getting the sleep, like it is really important. Like I don't care what you say, like it's important that you're getting 7+ hours of sleep, in my opinion. So yes, like it what it does too is it a little bit of puts your back up against the wall and makes you get that stuff done, gets that video done, get it out to the editor, whatever it might be, get those calls done so that you can go fishing. And then making fishing or whatever it is, making that important. Because if you just you just work and you never do what you want to do. Yeah.
That's what I've been struggling with, just putting some of the fun social life, or just, other, fun things in life, just putting
Mhm.
those always on the back burner. And then a lot of that stuff never happens because you get so consumed with everything else going on. That's so important. I agree with you. That's a mental health thing. And you
Mhm.
definitely have to be in a mindset and a healthy place in your life through doing these things that make you enjoy life. If you don't, then you're just going to burn yourself, run yourself ragged.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk about Navy SEALs. I did
Let's do it.
not know that about you at all, and I think that is
Yeah.
super super cool. If you have a background with your family in military, you said, is that
Yeah.
how?
So my dad was in the Navy, but he was public health service. So essentially, he was a pharmacist clinician. He was had a smoking cessation where he helped people stop smoking. He was a specialist essentially, and so I just saw him with the uniform on all the time. But aside from that, I always wanted to be a SEAL since I was like 14. My buddy told me about it, and then I started watching the videos, and I'm like, "That's epic! I'm going to do that." So that's just kind of how it transpired.
So what's the process for that? I mean, I feel like Navy SEALs is. I would assume it's like a stepping stone where you have to be doing something else for a period of time and like get to the point where you can even apply for the SEALs. But
So
like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's not. It should be, in my personal opinion. You should have to do something first, and it used to be that way. You had to go out to sea and be on a ship first, and then in my opinion, you understand how much it sucks first, like being in the Navy, and then you don't want to go back there, so you make it through training.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's the deal. Is now it's 50, somewhere around 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, your swim, your run, your I think 10 pull-ups. Like everything's strict, everything's perfect, but you knock that out and then you're pretty much good to go. Like as long as you pass the physical and that kind of thing. So it's not rocket science to get in.
Do they charge you? I feel like so many people would just,
Yeah.
want to just do it just to say they did it, and maybe not,
Oh,
not even have aspirations to become a SEAL, just to like go through
oh,
the boot, through the.
yeah, yeah. No, it happens. I mean, I don't know if it happens like that, but I mean, yeah, no, it's just, I mean, the attrition is massive.
So what's an average like class size that's going into? I keep wanting to say Hell Week. Hell Week's just part of that. Is there something before Hell Week? Like, did you do Hell Week, or were you doing some stuff leading up to Hell Week?
Yeah, so essentially, I didn't make it to Hell Week. So I did two indocs, which are 3 weeks each, and then there's first phase, which the fourth week you have Hell Week. So I made it through the first week of first phase, or almost the first week of first phase, and it kind of fell apart from there. Yeah.
So when you say fell apart, is that those earlier stages also similar to Hell Week, where it's kind of like up to you to ring the bell and get out, or is
You
it's the
can
same?
like it's not nearly as tough. Essentially, it's more teaching you how to do log PT versus yelling at you while you're doing log PT. I mean, it's still
Okay.
tough, but yeah.
So
Um,
share a story with us. Like, what was like maybe some of the most challenging stuff that you went through during that? Like, what was just like a memory that was just like
for
insane?
sure. I'm kicking myself, Adam, but my battery's about to die. I'm just gonna
Okay.
plug in real quick. I apologize. It's not thinking, dude. I literally don't have my plug or my cord. Like left it at the coffee shop. Crap. Crap. That sucks. You know, just keep trying to jam.
Yeah. You want me to kind of? I'll just kind of go quick.
We'll just yeah, and we can always redo more. I apologize.
Yeah. You're all good.
Um, cool. If you want to just ask that question.
Yeah. So just I'd love to just, hear about like a certain story from during this, Navy SEAL experience you had, like just something that was just crazy that you thought was like, either very, very difficult or just something that maybe we don't know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'll just kind of tell like honestly why I quit, and like nobody tells that, but it was a ton of fun. I absolutely loved it, and it was going into this thing where I think I just got in my own head and I was thinking ahead of what was going to happen next. So to tell the story, what we were doing is we were doing boats on head where so they have got these big boats. There's six of us. We'll put them on our head. We'll put them down. We'll put them on our head. We'll put them down. We'll run with them. We'll sprint. We'll race another boat crew, and then we'll go get in the water, get wet and sandy. Like you'll roll around in the sand, stand up. They'll tell you to go back to your boat. Then you'll do push-ups. Then you'll do squats. And so it's just this. And this is at night. Free, like it's not super cold, but it's in the 60s or something while you're soaking wet. And so it's doing all this stuff while they're essentially trying to get people to quit, like messing with them. You're not just in the water. You're not just doing push-ups. You're doing all this different stuff. And then we were doing what they call is where we link arms. We walk back into the water, and they just keep going back and back and back. And we're like, great, we're gonna drown. Like we were up to our chest in water, and then they go under, and we're like, great. Now we're like pushing each other up to try to get out of the water to try to breathe. And then you'd have somebody quit, and so when they quit, they unlink arms, and then you're all trying to connect back and try to figure it out.
That
And
sounds
so
horrible.
it's horrible. It's horrible. Like because like just sitting in a bucket of ice is one thing, but like trying to not drown and float out to sea is another thing while you're freezing. So like, and it's dark, and they're trying to make sure we don't die too, because they're trying to push us to the brink of hypothermia and then pull us out, warm us up, and get us back in. So it's just like to me, it wasn't that horrible. Like it was a lot of fun, but like it was fun. It was that type 2 fun. Like you might die, but it's fun. So it was that deal, and I just got in my head, and I knew the next day we were doing boats on head, running for 4 miles with the boats just banging on your neck, and like I just was like, I don't want to do that. And like I still regret it, but at the same time, like it is what it is. And and to elaborate on that, few weeks earlier, I was helping with Hell Week, with the former Hell Week, and I watched them come back from Hell Week with just blood down their face from that same thing. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. And so that's kind of what happened. I will say real quick, the obstacle course was the most fun thing on planet Earth. Like, it's freaking cool, man. Like, it's a lot of fun. But,
What an awesome experience, though. Just say that you've done that, just have that notch in your belt that you've gone through that process of trying to be a SEAL. Very few people can say they've done that, so I'm definitely jealous and admire you for that. It's really cool. So I guess one last question before we close things out. I'd like to kind of circle back on we're talking about, you're a super busy guy with between, your career, trying to scale your business, you've got your two kids, your wife, just your passions for fishing and all these other things,
mm-hmm.
just to really maximize every hour of the day so you're as productive as possible and have the ability to do these other fun things and keep life exciting. Like, what are some maybe strategies or tips you could share with the audience just to, again, just be as focused and just productive as possible with the time that we have?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that because I feel like through time, and it's taken me a while to get to a good spot where I've had, let's call it years, but maybe months where I just feel like I could look back and say there were hours where they just disappeared by doing something that just wasn't as productive as it should have been. And I've really tried to learn from those moments and say, how can I fix that? So the first thing on my like ahas, if you will, that I think I've really learned is if you're not in a moment of clarity, is the way that I would put it. Not even like purpose or fulfillment or you love it, but more just clarity. Like if I get a call from somebody that wants to learn about some land that's in Podunk, Indiana, and I'm just like, great, I don't even know where to start with this, then it's easy to get distracted and just do something dumb with your time. And you're like
Hmm.
buying time, and then you just wasted 2 hours, and then you get to the task. So what I've really learned is if I can step back, like literally go for a walk or just step back, and just breathe. Don't have your phone on you, or maybe it's disturb or like do not disturb mode, and you're just taking notes, like brainstorming with yourself, like, okay, what do I actually need to do? Like, what's the one thing that's going to move this forward? Is like then I can sit back down and just knock it out. And it's like so simple, but it's those times when I just get that task, like create a YouTube video. Like what are you talking about? Versus okay, can we just figure out like all I need to do is write 3 things that I'm going to talk about in the video. Got it. I can do that. It's the concept. I'm sure you've seen Brandon Turner. He just did
Hmm.
a video on how he broke down. He's like, the one thing that made me productive was 5-minute increments. Like every task you do really only takes 5 minutes. Meaning it doesn't mean that a YouTube video takes 5 minutes. It means saying your first point might be 5 minutes, or making your first call might be 5 minutes. It's like turn into 5 minutes, you're good. And then the next thing would be along the lines of that is create that space and go for that 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, an hour long walk. So I got to the point where I would go for an hour long walk, have my phone on basically do not airplane mode, and have a Trello board up, and I would just take notes of what I'm going to do for my videos coming up. And I got like 30 videos knocked out, and I just do templates, or essentially templates of what I'm going to do, just some notes, and then I come back the next day, do another walk, and I'd fill those in more. And so to me that like was eye opening because I was so productive because nobody's calling me, nobody's doing anything. In an hour, you're not going to, the house isn't going to burn down. You're going to be fine. So I just felt like those 2 things really, really worked. Along with sometimes I'll do a timer, like 5-minute timer, going back to that 5-minute concept. And that just, to me, that like, I don't know, tripled my productivity. And I just wasn't messing around with stuff that shouldn't be doing. It's
Yeah, I
distracting.
feel like sometimes it's like going overboard with like putting every single little thing in your calendar. But I
Right.
think Ed Milet maybe shared this a long time ago that I read where like instead of like hour time blocks in his calendar, he would do like 15-minute time blocks because nothing really takes an hour, kind of to your point, where also when you have an hour, you end up doing a meeting for 45 minutes and then that other 15 minutes gets wasted and then you're stuck on your phone scrolling through social media and then you're only 75% productive instead of 100%. Just like those
Sure.
little tricks, like you're talking about, really add up over a period of time. I think that's really good advice.
Right, right. Well, and I think it's so easy for that 75% productivity to turn into 50 and then 40 and then 30, and just like you let 2 hours go by, because then that appointment canceled, and then it just can fall apart real easily. Again, going back to, if you don't have clarity on the next thing, and then to your point of the 15 minutes, it's not like it's easy to do that thing for 15 minutes. It's not easy for an hour. Um, yeah, yeah,
Depending on, what our listeners, viewers, whatever they have going on in their life that they're trying to be more productive at. I know with an experience share with me is I try and, like, when I go on my walks with my dog in the evening, I find like myself just to being a lot more creative of kind of like a space when I'm outside, just maybe it's just the blood flowing. I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like
get it.
those are the times that I have some of my best ideas and can, kind of pull from a different part of my brain than I could
Hmm.
if I was just, sitting at my desk.
Right, right. No, and I think that's part of it. I think blood flow is a big thing. Just being outside, fresh air. I think a lot of that really matters.
Hmm. Love that.
Yeah,
Cool, man. Well, John, I think we had a really good chat today, buddy. More than anything, I was just excited just to get to know a little bit more about you. Obviously, found out some really cool stuff, including that stuff with the Navy SEALs. I would love to, do another episode later this summer and just kind of dive deeper into
yeah.
that whole experience and maybe some other
Do it.
takeaways that you had from that. Because I think that's just
Love
one of
to.
those things that so many people are. I think I don't know. Probably credit that to David Goggins, but just so many people are interested now in the Navy
Hmm.
SEALs and just what
Yeah,
the grit and determination it takes to get through something like that.
it'd be a fun topic to discuss, because I think like you said, there are so many things that, for one, I learned from it, but I also learned from just preparing for it. So I'd love to talk more. Absolutely.
And then for any of my audience that is somewhat of a personal friend or just knows me from being up in the mountains myself, up in the Aspen Valley, over the years, I loved living up there. But one thing that over time kind of started to get at me a little bit was just how just congested it was becoming, and just being a mountain town yet still feeling at times like I was living in the city. And I always saw Pagosa Springs, Durango, just that southern part of the state as one of my just top areas that I would love to spend more time in and relocate to even eventually. I think if anybody else that maybe is a similar mindset as me when it comes to just seeing this part of the state as being an incredible place to explore and visit. I think John could be a great resource for you guys. Definitely, you could check out his YouTube channel for one, but also just connect with him on social and
Yeah,
hopefully get a chance to meet him face to face someday, because I could tell that you have a lot of kind of hidden secret spots in the area over there that I'm sure
definitely
could
do.
could provide a lot of value to people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to share the secrets if they're not online, right?
Yeah.
So heck yeah.
So give our audience just a little bit of an update on like how they could find you, like what's the best way to reach out to you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, the best way is check out the channel, check out the YouTube channel, Living in Durango. Got all my stuff on there. That's an easy place to like find where all my stuff is. But Jon Burden Realtor, JonBurden Realtor, on Instagram. That's a great place. Yeah, it's probably the best place to hit me up.
Cool, man. Well, John, I appreciate it, man. This was a lot of fun, and you're making me want to pick up the fly fishing rod again and get into that
Love
again
it.
too. So
You got to do it, man. Heck yeah.
well, appreciate it. You guys, don't forget, please reach out to John if you have any interest in the Durango, Pagosa Springs, Telluride, just any of that side of the state, as well as just maybe you're somebody like myself that is cringes at the thought of cold calling and some of those aspects of sales. I'm sure that John would love to connect with you guys and
Yeah,
share some experiences he has on how he overcame some of those limiting beliefs when it comes to sales. So,
absolutely.
John, again, thanks so much for being on the show today. And you guys, don't forget, share the show with a friend. That's the best way we can help expand our audience and hopefully get this out to more and more people every single week. So every Friday, we have new episodes coming out. Make sure you guys stay tuned for next week. And until then, hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening and watching the Pursuit of Progress podcast. Catch you next time.